Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Co-Living Innovators podcast, where we bring co-living founders from around the world and talk about their journey, their learnings, so that we can learn a lot from them and their journey and their learnings and their mistakes. Today, we have Erwin, co-founder of Enter Coliving, who manages 450 units in Barcelona. They are homegrown. They have built everything on their own without any external help. And it'll be interesting to know their story, how they started, how they scaled up to 450 units, which is a dream for a lot of people. So let's go through the story with Erwin. Welcome, Erwin.
Yeah, thanks, Mayank. Good to be here. Nice also to get to know you a little bit better in this talk. We've been talking already for quite some time. Happy to share the story because, again, yeah, like we were talking, a lot of people that are listening to this most likely want to build a portfolio for themselves as well. And we also started around, what was it now, 4.5, 5 years ago with just an apartment that we just by coincidence got. So, yeah, I will share everything today.
Perfect. And one more information for the listeners. We have a co-living incubator program by Art of Co, which is online, where we help co-living founders to start from scratch to scale. Please go to Google, look out for co-living incubator for any more information. And please like, share, and subscribe. We want the story to reach more and more people. Now, Erwin, let's start with a little bit of a fun segment. Let's talk about a little bit of a rapid fire. So I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions, about 6 or 7 questions. Just answer what comes to your mind first, and let's make it fun and creative. All right?
Let's do it.
Perfect. Okay. So what's the best thing about living in Barcelona?
Barcelona, there's no one best thing, but there's, I mean, the sun, the culture, the life here. I'm myself, as you can see, I'm not Spanish, I'm Dutch. But just being here, or you've probably have been here. I mean, Barcelona is Spain is such a nice country to be. And by the way, also the co-livers are thinking that.
All right. One word to describe co-living.
Co-living is a very special, let's say, experience that can create friendships, business ideas, also difficult situations, right? Because we all have been living with other people. It's a mix. If managed well, it can be a very beautiful thing. By the way, that is also how we started Enter. Maybe I can start a little bit to talk a little bit about it after.
Sure. Biggest challenge you've faced as a co-living founder.
So I have to say now, and we're now at a nice stage that we can delegate and structure a lot of things. But in the beginning, just as everything we've been just talking about, what you're also doing, and every starting thing is difficult. You need to do a lot of, a lot of balls in the air. You need to manage it. That is the most difficult phase, I would say, right now. Just to get the ball rolling in the beginning and get your co-living company going.
All right. Most exciting part of being a co-living founder.
You know what I like the most is to see the people that we're now have been training and building in our team. It's now like an oiled machine and they do such a cool, great job, better than we are doing before. And that is really a satisfying, very satisfying feeling.
Interesting. Uh, what's your favorite spot in Barcelona for community activities?
Ooh, okay. Well, you have the beach where we do a lot of meditation, yoga. You have the old city center where we do language classes, where, we do all kind of other stuff. I would say there's one very cool place in Barcelona. I don't know if you ever been there. It's called the Bunkers, the old bunker. And it's like a hill. If you go on top of that, you can, look over the whole city with the sunset. Amazing. We've been doing a lot of stuff there for our community.
Interesting. And the last one advice that you would give anyone starting a co-living venture.
I would say, suffer a lot, get it going. Don't doubt too much. Don't think too much. Because a lot of people overthinking it. Just start. And by the way, in co-living, you can start quite easily, just one apartment. But just go for it. Don't paralyze yourself.
Great. Thanks a lot for a very interesting answer. I think I would say that I've done about 20 rapid fires because I've recorded 20 episodes till now. but I think this is one of the most interesting rapid fires for me. But thanks a lot for being very open and creative. All right, so I think let's introduce today's. So we want to center our today's conversation around customer satisfaction, around how to create a great experience for tenants. And one thing that you shared with me before we started recording this was that how did you move from like a 2.6 rating with 25 reviews to about 500 reviews and about 4.6 rating? Like it looks like a phenomenal journey. So we'll talk about a lot more. We'll unpack that. What exactly did you do in order to make that happen? But before that, we would love for you to just dive into your starting up journey. How did you start? What were initial days like? What were your biggest learnings? Please take us through the whole journey of Enter Coliving.
Yeah, so we are not the first co-living company in Barcelona, by the way. There's another company that most likely, if you do some research, you will find out who they are. They were starting before us, and what they always did was that they wanted to finance everything from out of their own cash flow, kind of. So all new apartment was financed from out of their own cash flow. What we mean with that, you rent, because a lot of times it's the rent-to-rent strategy, or the arbitrage is how they call it. So you rent an apartment and you sub-rent it then again via rooms, right? That's the co-living model. You can also, some other operators buy the properties. We do a lot of that. So it's renting and sub-renting. So what they were doing is, with their cash flow that they were making every month, they wanted to also finance the new apartments that they were doing. So at one point they were at 120 rooms, and we were thinking, okay, the market is here, the opportunity is there, there's a lot of demands for the rooms, and we have some experience with another company that we're managing, and we were quite familiar with the effect of attracting investors. And I think this may be also an interesting one for all the people that are now listening, to how to begin, right? Because this could be maybe also a very good example for other people to begin. So we were seeing what they were doing. We were thinking, but if we need to do it from out of our own cash flow, it will take a very long time to then grow to get a new apartment. And for a new apartment, let's say you would need around 20K, right? So you get an apartment, you will need to pay for the rent, deposit, furniture, or you can make it more expensive, depends on if you want to do a renovation or not, but let's say just 20K. Then we were thinking, okay, but let's go quicker because the demand is there. And so what we used we had a private pool of investors, so private investors that had been investing with us in some other projects. And we were thinking, okay, this is quite an easy and digestible way for people to take part. You don't need that much money, but if we just ask let's say the 20,000 from people to invest with us, or to give us a loan, which we then pay back every month with interest and their principal payment. And that would also give us margin for us as a company to grow. So that was paying back the investors and then for us to grow. And that has been the way that we've been growing a lot in the beginning. And we were quite innovative with it, because that was, I don't know, it was around a year before COVID took place. So I think it was a year, and we had 60 rooms. They had 120. And then after COVID took place, we had, so there was then, what was it, March 2000, what was it, 19 or 2019 or 20? 20.
20, yeah.
And then like one and a half years later, we tripled our size. So we were at 180 rooms, and they were still at 120, or let's say they 130, because they were going slower. And so that is how we have been growing from the beginning. So the private loans that gave us the possibility to grow, to outsize, and also the competition. And also an interesting thing, keep the shares in our own hand. So a lot of people that are now listening, if you want to start your own company, at one point, and we still have our shares in our own hand, by the way. We had some moments that we were thinking of selling shares whatsoever, because at one point you think, let's grow way more with other outside investors, shareholders. But we've been seeing it brings quite some challenges at the same moment as well. And as long as we can do loans, we can keep all the decision power in our own hands. So that we've been doing. So after then COVID, we tripled the size, and at one point we were at 180 rooms. And that has been a little bit the beginning, by the way. I'm not from Spain, I'm from the Netherlands. So I came here to work, actually, for a big company, IT company here in Barcelona. And I live with two other guys which are now still very close friends. And by the way, we just went to a wedding because one of them got married last month, and they were amazing friendships, business partners, because we also started business. By the way, it wasn't that successful, but hey, at least, cool things happened there. So we grew a lot that phase, okay, and then, but at the same moment, growing is quite challenging, and at the same moment, we couldn't really control that much the co-living experience, and that is why then we were saying 25 reviews. It was super hard to get reviews, and if we were getting reviews, a lot of times they were not that good. So that's a little bit the beginning.
Interesting. Thanks a lot for sharing that. I think there are few good golden nuggets there for people who are listening and who want to start their co-living space. So you depended on private loans initially in order to make sure that you keep equity on your hand, and you repaid those private loans immediately through your cash flows and kept growing really fast, right? So
Exactly.
can you tell us that how did you get access to, because a lot of people ask this, right? How
Hmm.
did you Where did you find these people who were ready to pay you uh, something on a loan? Like, did you know them from before? Did you use some network? Was it done online? Like, how did you get access to these individuals?
So that is very simple. That is just friends, family, and colleagues, literally. So that is your
Okay.
direct network. So for everyone that is now listening, everyone has for sure direct contact with, if it's not family, because they trust you the most, if it's not friends, if it's not colleagues. And again, these were not that big amounts. Again, they're serious money. But at the 20K, or maybe you can also combine two private investors of 10K and 10K. We even did sometimes 4 or 5K. We brought them together, and literally super simple, just reaching out to your direct environment. Make sure you have a very good presentation document or brochure ready to then explain what co-living is, but also how they can earn money. And the interesting thing, it's also possible with co-living, because normally the rent-to-rent model is giving you quite some margin. So if you do it well, you rent for, let's say, for easiness sake, for 1,000 or 1,500, right? For a big apartment, 1,500 to 2K now, at least here in Barcelona or in Spain. You can easily rent it out for double the amount if you do it well, and that is then your margin. Well, of course, your margin minus cost, because you have also company cost. The bigger you get, the more cost you have. But there's quite a good possibility, especially if you can double, that there's enough margin to pay back your investors and keep the margin for yourself to grow as a company as well. So
And what were the returns that you were giving these investors on a yearly basis?
the exact returns, I will leave that a little bit in the middle. But what we are
Range,
doing,
yeah.
yeah, range. So what we were doing is we're giving them a fixed interest rate back on a yearly
Okay.
base, then paid out also per month, which is also interesting, because then every month, as we know, the co-living business is quite cash flow intensive.
Right.
There's a lot of money coming in, also going out, but there's also, it's a good model to be giving back also in your investors on a monthly base. And what is more important than that, you're keeping your investors happy, because every month is like a positive association or stimulus, and you can tell them, hey, look, your investment is working. And so we were doing that, and then you can base it also on in how long you want to pay it back. The longer you can keep it, the less you need to pay back every month. But it depends a little bit. We normally do
So,
between 2 to 5 year contracts.
okay. So basically this is similar to bank loans, but because these people were known to you, there was more trust,
That's
and
it.
you could easily get access to capital without much of like compliance hassles, and grow really fast. So I think that's a really good takeaway for a lot of people who are listening this. Thanks a lot for sharing that. And one thing that I would want you to delve a little bit deeper is, a lot of founders that I meet today want to raise equity funding. They just want to give away shares and
Yeah.
raise money, right? As a co-living company. And I always tell them that, see, there are two problems with raising equity money. The growth of a co-living company is not similar to a tech company. So you cannot play on valuations, right? You can only play on cash flows, and if you can pay on cash flows, you should look at debt rather than an equity as a funding source. You should take loans because you will be capable of paying them soon through your cash flows if you are doing everything right and if your business model is right. So why did you take this decision of keeping the equity in your own hand and taking loans? Why did you not go for like an equity funding like everybody was going around in last 5 years? Habit, like look at Habit, look at there are big more many companies who have raised millions and millions of euros.
Hmm.
What stopped you from raising?
So in the beginning, we had no choice, right? Because in the beginning, you're just starting company and nobody's really interested in you, or at least that's what we have been seeing. Or we were not even busy with trying to, raise funds or sell shares of the company, because again, we were coming from a background where we were used to getting private loans. Now we've been just continuing with that, and at one point you do get in contact with other people that see the business and then ask for your numbers and also see that co-living is a healthy margin, profitable business if you do it well. Now, at the same moment is we have had some conversations with these potential shareholders, and we were quite close. The thing is, it's a little bit of, I've been seeing some other videos about this, and a lot of company owners are saying, it's a little bit the devil in the dress, a little bit, right? Because when once they're in, they're really in, and these are normally more experienced people with background of managing companies, and they are doing it most likely to get in, but at one point to get out, and that getting out,
Right.
that is based on getting a specific, return on investment on the investment that they have been doing. And then it changes the game a little bit. It changes the dynamic a little bit. I'm also an entrepreneur, so I also think of return on investment, but at least, this is our baby, let's say. We understand it very well. And then they were coming in. I needed to explain 10 times why we were spending this much on our decoration plan while we know we can get the right prices, rent it out as soon as possible. So, I'm not saying that we will never do it, but I'm very proud that we still now have the 100% shares in our own hands, because it does give freedom.
Right. Definitely, it does give freedom. Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into how is your team currently structured? How many people do you have in your team? Because it'll be good for listeners to understand, because at some point they would want to build their team. So it'll be great to know how are you currently structured, which are the departments, total, how many people are running a 450 unit operations, if you can give us some insights there.
Yeah, so yeah, then coming back, so we tripled the size to 180 rooms after at the end of COVID, and we were seeing that, yeah, the size we were growing, and that is then good for your own ego boost, let's say, right? Because you're growing a lot, you're a startup, and you think like you're better than the rest. But our reviews were not really showing that. Our reviews were showing that our service was quite poor, and there was a lot of, the faults that are coming up in the reviews. Now, again, it's also an interesting topic to talk about, because if not managed well, reviews is just, the garbage bin that if something is wrong, they just complain. It's very easy, very difficult to get good reviews, very difficult. So we were noticing that there was a lot of things that we needed to fix. So our team, we're now around 35 people, and that is, let's maybe focus on the most important, because at that moment we were just doing still a lot ourselves, managing a lot of stuff. So the most important teams are, for us, at least, I think for a lot of the other companies that are also doing this, you have customer service, which I don't really like the name. What do you think about that, Mayank? And it's also maybe a question for the people now listening. It's called customer service, but it's like a downgrading name for me, at least in my opinion, about the super important work that they're doing, right? What do you think about that?
See, I always call it as customer experience and not customer
Mm.
service, right?
Yeah, it's
Because
already something.
I'll tell you so I have been before coming into the co-living world, before becoming a co-living operator myself back in 2015, I used to work at a health tech company and I used to head their customer center support. There were
Mm.
80 people who used to report to me, And I had this whole team of 80 people, and they were called customer support. And I kind of became irritated. Like, it's not, see, what is there to support? We are not here to support somebody. Like, we are here to give you an experience. We are here to enhance your experience. We are here to make sure that you get delivered what the product is supposed to deliver to you. So
Exactly.
the customer experience scope expands not only to picking up call and listening to angry customers, but also to then take those insights and give it back to the product team so that they can improve that product. So I consider it as a customer experience team rather than a customer support.
That's it. So thanks. I will check that and I will discuss it with the team what they think, because what you're saying is so true. So to come back, our teams were customer service, very important. Maintenance, we have maintenance in house. We have our renovation team in house. So renovation for the new apartment. Sometimes we do renovation, adding, well, most of the times adding rooms or adding a bathroom or doing complete renovation. So renovation, maintenance, customer service, of course, sales. Sales is very important. Then we have marketing slash community, let's say, where community, if you put the two words next to each other, marketing was bigger, community started smaller, but it's now kind of the two words are is the same in size, and community is growing quite a lot because, well, that is everything to do with the reviews. And let's say, of course, the cleaning teams. We also have the cleaning team in-house. That's also so of the 35 people, there's also the cleaning team that is also making that up. So let's say, and then we have, of course, administration and finance, and then you have the partners. So we are 3 partners in the company. It's a Spanish guy, Catalan guy, a German, and myself. I'm Dutch. So, but that was then the teams, right? And they were coming up, but still they were not that well structured, or everyone was doing a little bit of everything, and it became quite a mess. Now, we changed quite a lot, and that is, I think, the base for whatever, because I mean, literally in 1 year, from 25 reviews 2.6 to 500 reviews 4.6, which we were very, very proud of. The main thing is that we just put customer service or customer experience, let's call it that way. We put it in the middle of everything, because like you were saying, I mean, all the things that are normally entering via them, they're in contact with all the other teams, and I've been giving them way more kind of right to be coming up also with the solutions. And since we have been doing that, and we have been hiring new people, they're so good, and that has been changing the real experience for when our clients or when the co-livers are calling for anything. So that, I think that was the biggest change in the beginning to create the base to then grow positively.
Right. So one thing that I have used in past, and I would like to suggest it to you, is there's a concept called CAPA. It's called CAPA. It's a concept that is used in operations a lot. What it says is, suppose you have a complaint that comes to you, right? You solve it first, right? So complaints are symptoms. They are not the root cause. Complaints that comes from an end user are always symptoms. So when you get a symptom, okay, solve for that symptom, fix that symptom, but then internally go to the root cause of that problem, right? Now, when you go to the root cause of that problem, you will figure out, okay, this is a maintenance problem, marketing problem, community problem, some problem. You will figure out the root cause, why it is happening. And if you fix that root cause, that type of the problem will never happen again. So if you do this for 6 months, at the end of 6 months, you would have finished all your problems. You would have solved everything to the root cause, and you would have created a new company for yourself, because the evolution that would have happened in those 6 months would have taken care of a lot of things, right? A lot of times what happens is, we, even in our life, right, if we get fever or cold, we just take some medicine in order to treat the fever. But fever is a symptom, right? It's not the root cause. But the root cause is you having outside food or you having bad food, which led to that fever. If you don't have that bad food, you will never have fever. So rather than taking a medicine to treat the fever every time fever comes, you have to make sure that you stop eating that type of food which is causing you fever. So that's how I implemented this in my co-living space, and in 6 months, our customer issues went down from 70 a day, because like we were having huge issues. Like we were at peak, we were 500 units in single city, 17 locations, and we were getting 70 issues a day. In 6 months, we were left with like 4 or 5 issues a day. That's all. Like the team solved it, and the customers experience team made it possible for us. So I just wanted to share this with you and the listeners, because I think it's really important. Because if you are looking to start a co-living space, it's very important to understand the customer experience side of thing. See, for a lot of people, customer experience is always about, okay, digital experience on the website, onboarding, this and that. Like it's very, all that is important, right? I'm not saying it's not, but customer experience is much larger than just being on your website or the booking process or the onboarding process. Like it's the whole life cycle. The
That's it.
experience happens. And you were talking about one more interesting thing, right? In long-term stays, the point of failures are a lot more for an operator. There are a lot more places where you can actually do a bad job because of whatever reason, and people have, like if they're staying you for 12 months, imagine a person staying with you for 12 months can have so many instances where he can give you a bad review, right? See, in hotels you stay for 2-3 days and then you go away and then you give them a good review. But similarly, if you come to stay in Enter Coliving and you stay for 8 months, 9 months, there are so many instances where the experience can go wrong. So for co-living as an industry, to manage the experience across the life cycle is actually very tough, and people need to invest time and resources and around technology, around SOPs, around people, in order to make sure that it works for them, right? So what are your
100%.
thoughts on that?
No, I'm completely agreeing. So what we did is then, by the way, our general manager started as a part-time customer service or customer experience, let's better say, agent. And she is now our general manager, and she is then the one, the spine of kind of everything that's now happening between all the teams, who is then focusing on what you're now saying and bringing everything together. So, for example, starting this year, and we were already doing it last year, we had our yearly meeting, yearly presentation, and then we just started to focus on the customer experience from beginning to end, you know? And like you were saying, so this bad review, like we were saying, normally it's just the tipping point, which the bucket of water is just exploding or just with too much water. But there's a lot of things below that is then causing why they were doing that. And so we said with the whole team is like, hey, okay, we think that the reviews are a good measure point to see if people are really happy with us, right? So we had the whole team together. So I was with the cleaning person, the maintenance person, everyone together, and we said, okay, so let's then focus not only customer service, customer experience, but all the teams on the customer experience, and let's now focus on how can we create, so whatever situation in any department of the company, how can we focus on creating that good customer experience? So there's also a question, it's an important question, right? So we just, so whatever is happening, ask yourself, how can we create a 5-star experience for co-liver? And that was our thinking, and that was kind of the way of thinking that I wanted to put in their head. And since then, so many beautiful things are happening, because the cleaning persons, when they're cleaning the apartment, they're now thinking, okay, how can I do that? And how can I get also a positive review coming in that my name gets there? And then, you know, we do these activities also with our own personal team. And then we're talking about the reviews that are coming in. And I'm saying to the, you know, to the cleaning team, look, you know, the positive effect that you can do, because if the cleaning person is doing that, the maintenance person is doing that, the salesperson, and you have just, you know, this sequence of positive experiences, then we don't know 100% if they will write a positive review, but the likability of writing a negative review,
Is
that is then
reduced.
quite small, right? Because you create a goodwill. So then you can also sometimes do a bad job, which, like you're saying, in 8 months, a lot of things can go wrong. And sometimes not only our problems, because you have a roommate that is just screaming the whole night or whatsoever, right? And then we need to come in and try to make the most of it, which sometimes you cannot. And so that has been a huge game changer. And then the last point that has really then helped us to get the good reviews is then to focus a lot more with marketing on the community. Because then if you create a lot of goodwill, they're also more willing to come to the community events. And when they're coming there, that's the moment to bond with them.
No, so I think one thing, again, a golden nugget for people who want to start their co-living space that you touched upon is the culture, right? You
Yeah.
created a culture of people thinking every time they have a decision to make, okay, how can I create a five-star experience for a co-liver? This this you basically this comes from top down, right? If the partners are speaking it, then everybody else will, and you have to lead by example. And I think creating that culture of thinking customer first and having this at the back of the mind that, okay, I need to give five-star experience automatically changes a lot of the way we work. The cleaning guy will do better cleaning. The marketing guy will do better marketing. The events guy will do better events just by having this one thing in the mindset. So I think it's very important for people to create while they are building the teams for themselves, or even without teams if they're doing it themselves, having that culture of putting customer at the center of it and then building your processes and setups around it, I think is really, really important. Right. So I now want to divert a little bit into technology. I remember we had a conversation probably a year back where we spoke about technology, and you showed me that you were building something internally in order to make sure that it serves your purpose. So would love to know, and also your thoughts on how big a role technology played in helping you take these reviews from a 2.6 to a 4.6 rating.
So I have to honestly say that we are not the most kind of the startup that was investing from the beginning the most in technology. To be honest, we were
Right.
most focused on growing and creating margin, right? Margin to just keeping the lights on, to be honest. Then the switch to kind of the customer experience or the co-living experience changed, and we're now at the moment that also we're looking a lot at it. So we have already a lot of stuff, right? For example, the digital logs to the ERP or the PMS system, and it's all linked. We are redoing the website. For example, what we're now also going to do is a website that you can immediately book on our website, because until more or less now, because we're also busy with a new PMS system, by the way, and we're basing it on Smart Suite. I don't know if that rings a bell to you. It's kind of the Airtable, but then more visual. For all the people that are now starting, I would say it's also a good thing. We've been seeing it. It's like online Excel, and you can customize it as much as you want. You do need to have a technological background, which one of the partners has that, and he's busy with it. So we're now at the point that we're going to roll it out, and then everything is going to be mixed, because literally now, to be honest, for the people that are listening to me now, they're thinking, holy, 450 rooms, that is amazing. Will I ever get there? You will, right? If you just start, like we said in the beginning. But also, it's not a perfect world still for us, because now literally we have a team that are still with the Excel manually updating all the platforms with all the rooms that we're now having. For example, we're now just are focusing on the new year that is coming, right? The new year is in, because normally September is a new year for us. And we now want to publish the rooms for the upcoming months until summer, and we need to do everything manually. Imagine. So that hasn't to do that much with the customer experience, more for internal efficiency, I would say, which is also a very important part, right? Because, well, I will leave that to you, maybe to also jump in how the technology can bring to more, the customer experience, because I would like to hear that. But from us
Yeah.
now, as a company growing, or maybe if you're starting, maybe to start already with it from the beginning, because the sooner you start, the better it is, if it's not costing too much, right? So you also need to be frugal and thinking about that way. But now for us, that is going to be a huge game changer, because then we have the PMS system where we change a listing, and then everything is changed on all the platforms. And so that is going to be a big game changer for us in the upcoming time. But so how do you think that can then change also the customer experience, the technology?
Right, so I published an article today on Art
Oh,
of Co. It'll come out on the Everything Coliving newsletter this Friday. It's already published on our blog. like how to build great co-living communities, right? And in one of the section that I wrote about is how can you leverage technology to build great customer experience and great community. So there are few things that we need to tackle, right? Uh, One is technology is an enabler. It is not the solution. If you are building communities, it has to be people centric. It has to be face to face, right? Technology can enable you, can help you make better decisions, can help you connect, but ultimately it it is the face to face interaction which builds the bonds. It is sharing a bread, eating food together, doing some activity together, which actually builds human relations. But the way technology can enable it is the following, right? Suppose, imagine a person who has booked a room with you now gets, first of all, he or she automatically gets added to a group, right? Where existing housemates are there, where he has booked the room, and then a global community. Even before coming in, he keeps, and he can see what people are talking or what is the event that is going on right now, right? And just introduce himself, just get to know each other. Now this has a soft landing. So when I come and shift to a new place for next 6 months, I need to make sure that I'm shifting with the right set of people, right? So imagine you getting to know people before shifting, which creates a little bit of a soft landing for you. Then you come in, you start staying with those people. Now, this is your house or apartment. Now, there is a larger community around Enter, right? Now, if I can kind of meet people in the network. Suppose I want to, like, I love chess and I want to play chess, but I don't know who else plays chess in the community. I just post in a larger community group or I create an event that chess at 1 o'clock at in this particular place in Barcelona. 2 or 3 people may end up coming, right? But that creates actual human connection. That's how slowly the community starts building in. So we are enabling information, we are enabling them to connect with other people. That's how technology can be used in order to foster relations. Then around events, right? You can, like, right now, if you do events, you probably update each and everyone on WhatsApp, or you go to you send them an email or whatever. But imagine that you create an event, it automatically sends a invite to everybody in the community. They can RSVP on that event, they can get information on that event. You can have some event online, some event offline. So those kind of things keeps adding on, right? So this is not the solution, right? Without technology also you can build a great community, but with technology it becomes a little bit easier, little bit cost effective, and it helps you to actually create a larger experience. Because now when you grow from 450 to 900, you will start seeing the need of technology even from a community building perspective. So that's my understanding of, like, I've just given 2 or 3 examples, but there are many more things that can be done from a technological perspective. But I think that's what can help us create great community and experience for people, and they will remember us for lifetime. Imagine, even if a person has left, they have left, but they still remain part of the larger community. They still keep getting updates on what's happening, and enter what's the event that's happening today. That'll keep them connected, right? And that'll keep them on top of your mind. Imagine the impact. His friend is now looking for a place. He's like, oh, go at Enter, it's a wonderful community. Because he's still connected even after leaving, he will refer you to 10 other people, and the cost of customer acquisition will come down.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So like, then coming back to my question, a normal a thing to have in mind, and perhaps also is where a lot of people are moving to, also for us, is to having an application where you can do the onboarding, and also with that application then offering all the events. And then what we are seeing also is interesting, because we're doing a lot of more events where we pay for the community to come together, right? And we invest quite heavily in that, because we know the more people are coming towards that, they have a positive experience, and the positive experience is associated with us, because we are making it possible for them. But the kind of the interesting thing that we've been seeing that is related to what you were saying is, you can also become the provider or the platform
yes,
to organize it, right, or to publish it. And then even without you organizing it, or even without it, we need to invest in it from our own margin. Hey, and we're happy to do that as long as we can. Then still the positive association is with us. So if you then can create this platform idea where our name for the tenants, for the co-livers associated, that is also gold. And we think now that we're also getting with the new system, the app, that will be even bring us to another level with that.
So there are two type of community building, right? What you're currently doing is top-down community building approach, and what you're planning to do, right, where people come and create their own events, they get people together. That's like a bottom-up approach. So whenever a co-living company starts, initially they have to create that momentum using top-down, but they slowly have to provide people with a platform or with tools to do bottom-up approach. I think that's where the magic happens when both of them meet, right? So I think one of the examples that I always give people is Casa Co-Living. They are based out of Singapore. They also have about 400, 450 units. You should definitely check them out. They do a lot of events. They have a great community. They also have a roommate matching software, right? So there are softwares out there which can help you even before somebody coming in. They can help you match right person to a right apartment. It's called, like, one of the tools that I know, it's called roommateconnect.ai. I think something to definitely explore as you grow, because imagine if you're able to use technology to match right people together. The experience will be great. Their retention will be more. The occupancies will be higher. The renewal rates will increase. There are a lot of tangible benefits of matching right people together. And roommateconnect.ai matches it on similarities as well as dissimilarities, which I have not seen any other tool doing. Most of the people match you on how similar you are, but you also need to take in account how dissimilar you are and match on that. So I think that also adds to the overall equation. You can definitely check them out, and even listeners can take a look at them.
We
I
will.
think
Maybe the one thing to say about that, it is interesting that you say it, and I think that technology need to prove us the right or the truth in that, because a lot of times for us as the operator, so for other people that are now listening, you're thinking, how is that ever possible? Because I have a demand, I have rooms, how can I fit it all together? Because there's not a perfect world that we can fit only matches, kind of, right? But at the same moment, for sure, there's also this software is then making it that within different layers of personalities or things that there are some matches that for sure you know that they connect on some specific, maybe you're not best friends, that you don't need to be, but at least you
yeah,
have some connecting grounds or common grounds that you can then build from.
yeah. So it's not about matching perfectly or matching everybody, right? But it's about knowing and enabling that conversation that, hey, we think that you will fit more to this community. Just check it out. If not, you can still stay on other apartment if you want to, right? So it's more of an enabler again. So see, co-living operators needs to look at technology as an enabler. It's not a solution. It's an enabler. We are still a people business. We are still a space business. So we need to work with people. We need to work with spaces, right? And we cannot be a technology business. We are not a technology business. So I think we always need to look technology as an enabler, which can help us do our job better rather than a solution to a problem, because solutions we still have to figure out ourselves.
Oh, sounds good. I will for sure check it out. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So I think I'm kind of done for whatever I had written in my notes. But any last parting thoughts to the budding co-living entrepreneurs that you can share from your journey, some mistakes that you have done and learned from, so that they don't do the same mistakes again? Would love to have like some advice for the upcoming co-living entrepreneurs.
Yeah, yeah, happy to do so, because we're living in it, or I'm living in it actually at this moment. Is that in the beginning, being an entrepreneur, starting a business can be quite frustrating or overwhelming, or that you feel like the whole world is coming at you, right? And then you need to try to get your head above the water, survive, and at the same moment while surviving keep your head cool, that you also structure, right? And that we were saying before, we then structured all the teams, and now we can really then focus the things that normally that we are good in. And so for me, I'm the one who's then also talking with our investors, talking with also other companies, and we've been now collaborating with another company, which is for sure another couple of other people. That's another way to grow, is not only doing it yourself, so that to do the rent, you can also property manage other people's apartments or buildings. And that we have been doing lately. We have a collaboration with another company who is buying them buildings here in Barcelona, and they're handing them over to us. So that's also interesting, because then there's no CAPEX, or, well, CAPEX means capital expenditures that we need to pay for the furniture or all other costs in the beginning. So we earn a commission on the total gross income that we get for them. It's like a win-win situation. We get higher rental returns, they get, well, higher, the total income will be better for them, and we get a higher commission. And these people are buying in bigger quantities. So what we have been now doing, and maybe for some other people, some people are focusing on that from the very beginning, which is also, you need to watch out with maintaining the margins, because I can remember Guy's conversation with Common, right? That went bankrupt because of the commissions. The margins were not big enough. If you do that well, if you had a healthy margin, so we're also now doing, and that is also the way to be then growing. And then they will not work with you when you don't have a brand, when you don't have a really established company. But once you then can present yourself in a good way, you can get, the top A location assets and grow quite a lot, because they are doing the buying part, they are doing the furnishing part. We just come in, do the decoration, and then rent it out. And that is what we're currently now doing. It's quite cool, man. So that is why also now, kind of as an entrepreneur, I'm then kind of, that enjoyment in the beginning sometimes it goes away a little bit, but now it's coming back. And I mean, we're opening buildings throughout the whole city, and so keep that maybe message in your head. Sometimes when you think like, well, this is difficult and there's a lot of shit happening, at one point when you just survive, good things will come after.
Thanks a lot for sharing that. And I'll definitely, I'm visiting Barcelona next year, early next year. So we'll definitely meet and have a lot more conversation. But yeah, thanks a lot for taking out time and talking to us. I will add Erwin's socials as well as Enter's credentials in the description below. You can check them out. Take a look at their website. I know it's getting rebuilt, but check them out. Go stay at their places if you are in Barcelona, and please give us feedback on how your experience has been, because so far in this last 45 minutes of conversation, I've learned so much about them that I think you should have a great experience without saying. So thanks a lot, Erwin, for taking our time and talking to us. I'll see you guys around in the next episode.
Thanks, Mayank. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Industry-wide change is a collective dream. Collaboration, cooperation, that's our theme. From multi-generational homes to global scenes, we shape the future, living out our means. Each story unfolds with the art of code, lessons in the lows, wisdom untold. Ask your questions, join the conversation. Together we build a resilient foundation. Resilience, innovation, the keys to thrive. In the Coliving movement, we come alive. From struggles to triumphs, we pave the way. In our global article community, we find the sway.